There's a term that the developers of Helldivers 2 like to throw around a lot, that being grunt fantasy, which is what they say guides their philosophy behind the game. Johann Pilestedt describes this as being one of the nameless, faceless bad guys in a story so that you can step into their shoes and do their job as you, the player, see fit. It's a point that's often been used to justify the nerfing of the game's weapons and generally making the player less effective or giving enemies unfair advantages. The contention that the titular Helldivers are merely low-level grunts is one that is at odds with the design of the game itself. Some fans of the game will be quick to point out the kinds of heroic feats a Helldiver will pull off in any given situation is very clearly at odds with the idea that they're just common soldiers. However, there is an equal number of fans who will insist that you are merely cannon fodder sent to soak up bullets. The latter camp in this argument have a habit of starting with the conclusion that you are a grunt in Helldivers 2, and working backwards from there. Of course you're a grunt. Look at how easily you can die in a mission. Look at how you are instantly replaced after you die. Look at how you need support from a spaceship to get anything done. Heck, you're just a glorified laser pointer for their guns.
Have arrived.
If you'll indulge me for a moment, I'd like to bring your attention to this character from one of my childhood games called Command & Conquer. He's pretty fragile. He only lasts a couple of seconds against direct fire from common infantry before he perishes. His weapon doesn't make a dent against armored vehicles. He can't even cross a body of water or scale a mountain without the aid of a transport helicopter. He's just a grunt. Just cannon fodder, right? Well, yes, if you ignore the fact that he can fire outside the enemy infantry's range and down them with only a couple of shots, or the fact that he can maneuver past patrols unnoticed, or the fact that he can raid a base and demolish every key structure on his own. But don't be fooled by any of that. He's just cannon fodder. A grunt, if you will. Now you might be thinking, but Noom, didn't you pay attention to the lore of the game, or even the tutorial at the beginning? It's about an evil regime that gasses people up and happily sends them to their deaths. The entire point of it is going over your head. And yes, I get it. I noticed the instructor heaping praise on me for doing menial tasks. The fact that my training lasted a pitifully short amount of time, and the space rocket full of frozen soldiers waiting to be shipped and consumed by the war machine like so many slabs of lean Angus beef. The authorial intent is not lost on me. However, this does not detract from the point I'm making. The way Helldivers 2 plays mechanically is at odds with the contention that you are an unskilled raw recruit sent to soak up bullets and die. Yes, you will in fact die a lot when you play this game, but that is not because you are some oaf who doesn't know one end of a rifle from the other. It's because you are sent behind enemy lines in minuscule numbers, and are often either surrounded by the enemy, on the wrong side of a large mounted gun, or both. In spite of the odds, you finesse your way through enemy outposts and demolish key infrastructure. Your tiny squad of 4 divers at most will score hundreds of kills, and demolish multiple outposts in a small amount of time. And yes, replacements will tag in if any of you perish, but at the most this means that 20 divers will be needed to complete the mission, but only if the squad is having a particularly hard time. In light of how these scenarios play out, it just seems preposterous on its face to not think that a Helldiver is at least a cut above the common infantryman. Who are these hypothetical elite troops that are better than the Helldivers? Are they going behind enemy lines to clear out entire outposts in teams as small as one? If so, that's not particularly impressive because I can do that against the bots on Diff 10, and I wouldn't even consider myself a pro at the game. So why does this matter? Well, beyond my own neurotic desire to argue about minutia, I feel that the goal to adhere to the grunt fantasy has hindered the enjoyability of the game. When Arrowhead brought harsh nerfs down on weapons, added enemies that lack weak spots, or even added enemies that can launch an attack that you can't counter, they were trying to ease the ludonarrative dissonance between their vision of the game and its mechanical behavior. This is a waste of time. Mechanically speaking, the focus should be on keeping the game challenging yet enjoyable. It's fine that enemies can kill you quickly. It's fine that you'll often find yourself in overwhelming situations. That's all part of the fun. However, what needs to be preserved is fairness. The player should be able to quickly dispatch any enemy, given they know their weaknesses and behaviors. War Striders should go down more easily if I score a direct hit on their leg joints. Flesh mobs should have a weak point. Somewhere. Anywhere. Bugs should not be able to damage me immediately after popping out of the ground, without at least giving me an instant to react and counter. Leviathans shouldn't be endlessly respawning damage sponges that fire at you from above with the accuracy and damage of an automaton bunker turret. However unfair and unfun they try to make the game, at the end of the day you will still be pulling off heroic feats of destruction in tiny squads against impossible odds. The devs can throw all the nerfs and unfair enemies they want at us, but the mechanics of the game will still make your character into an elite commando. If Arrowhead really wanted a game where the player is just an insignificant, low-value foot soldier, then they shouldn't have made it 4 players max. What they actually ended up making is a runaway success with tens of thousands of people still playing daily, so they shouldn't try to ruin it by chasing a vision that is incompatible with how their game actually works.